very good.
I'm really trying to be very good. I don't know if I'm succeeding in being very good, but the show is very good. What's up, guys? This is Dr. Yaya Diamond. I got my doctorate degree last year. So Dr. Yaya Diamond, as you can see behind me, I have my doctorate degree, and I have to start saying that because people are mad at me.
Congratulations for the doctor.
So I have to do that. But I have an amazing guest on the show today, and I want to welcome her. She has a book out, and we're going to go ahead and share that book really quick because I want you to see that book before we get started. It is called A Duty of Remembrance, and it's by Miss Moore. I am not going to try and her first name. I am not going to do her the dishonor, okay? So welcome to the show. How do you pronounce your first name?
I appreciate that. It's Gudrun. My husband always said, sometimes he said, a good run for your money. Okay.
Well, I would have tortured it, so I'm glad I said Miss Moore. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay. Thank you.
So you have a book that I always ask this question because a lot of people are saying, I don't know if I can write a book or I may not be smart enough to write a book. I mean, when did you know you were going to do this?
I have to tell a story.
Okay, go right ahead. Tell your story.
See, I was born in Germany and American, Englishman, Canadian, came to Canada. I was born in 1939, so many years between that. And in 1965, I was in the university in Edmonton, Alberta. I go and read Time magazine, and there is a story of my father and the horrible things he did in an Einsatzkommando in the Ukraine in 1941. And I'm still moved by it. And I had no idea. I knew that my father was SS. I knew that my father was in the war, but that's all I knew. When I read the article, I thought, and this is honest to goodness the truth, I'm going to go to the high-level bridge in Edmonton. There was a bridge high above the river, and I'm going to kill myself. I was just 25 years old. You do these things. I was shattered. So I go to the bridge. Luckily, I'm very scared of heights, and I still can see myself leaning on the thing. And all of a sudden, Gertrude Stein's saying comes in my head, a rose is a rose is a rose. In other words, what is, it's always the same. You can't change anything. And I stopped and I walked back. And life began again. A few days later, I got a letter from my mother in Germany, telling me that they had come and taken my father to prison. He is now up for trials for what he had done in the Ukraine. And that was in 1965. 1996, life happens in between. Many things happen, many stories. 1996, my father had gone through the trials. He was sentenced to 8.5 years in prison. He was in prison from 1965 to 70, and then again from 73 to 76. Then he visited afterwards and visited us every 2 years in Canada. I was a teacher. My husband was a teacher. We were also farmers. 96, we had retired. And somehow we ended up in Germany. And that's the first time I talked to my father about the past. Before that, I never did. He said, I will tell you my story. And every night, every day, I still can see it. My husband and myself, we went up into the attic where his room was. And I have 12 tape cassettes from the talking. They are now in the Holocaust Museum in the States. And that's the story. It took me quite a long time to write it, but that's what it is. My father died in 1999. And the reason why the book is, of course, I wanted to know why. Why has this man, who I knew as the most honest, decent person, who had absolutely no prejudice against anyone, whatever color you were, whatever race you were, whatever religion, he saw what was in you and he dealt with it. He had never done anything bad. Why did he do what he did? Shooting people. And I remember very often when we sat there, my husband and I were listening to his tape, we were just sitting there crying. And there's nothing harder than seeing an old 84-year-old man, tears running down his face. So it was the truth. And I know my dad told the truth. Even the judge, when he sentenced him, he said, yeah, Herr Häfner, he did speak that after all the prison time was over, my mother said, like I said, I never talk about any of these things at home afterwards. My mother said, I guess in many ways, maybe he felt he had paid off some of it. He had no more nightmares. But my father, the reason why I wrote in the book too, I do not understand why he did what he did. But then again, I didn't walk in his shoes. I was not military. I was brought up rather military. You do as you're told. So I remember, and of course, my father in that generation, he was brought up, you absolutely do as you're told. And of course, in the military, you do as you're told. You say, yes, sir. It's very hard. But he was a decent guy. He was honest. He was funny. He was all the good things in life. And the way I was brought up, if I did anything bad, after the war, I experienced fires and burning in Rome. And I was as a refugee on the street, and I experienced hunger, and I experienced so many things. It's hard. But I was brought up, my mom always said, don't do anything bad. You are the daughter of an SS officer. Don't lie, don't steal. I was brought up with the idea that an SS officer is absolutely on the top of how to behave, how to be decent, how to be honest. That's how I was brought up. And when I was 17, I was in boarding school. Our English teacher talked about the SS. And I heard for the first time, that was when I was 17 in boarding school, heard for the first time some of the atrocities they had done, which happened in that time of the Ukraine incident of the Jewish people and all that. And I couldn't believe it. So when I went home in holidays to talk to my parents, I said this to my father. My teacher said, you're murderers. And my father just about threw me out of my house. He took my mother to sort of real thinking. I apologized that I said the incorrect things. And from the age of 17 on, I never, ever spoke to my parents about the past until 1996 when he talked. So, and I wanted to find out, why did this decent, honest, good man who everybody liked, why did he do what he was told to do?
Could it be that he was in jeopardy of himself losing his own family?
Well, the thing was, if you're a soldier and you don't do as you're told, this is like treason. And it happened sometimes. It didn't happen as often, but he was just absolutely brought up. I know from his tapes when he talks about his father, in those days, if you didn't do as you were told, you were beaten, and you were beaten hard. And the same happened in school. And so he was brought up this way. He joined the SS when he was in his 20s, full of idealism for a better Germany. In Germany in those days, in the 20s, late 20s, people died of starvation, even in Berlin. Read Dublin's Berlin Alexanderplatz. There was no work. There were a few people. They were very, very rich. And the majority of people had nothing. There was no work. And then, of course, Hitler came, and I'm definitely not for Hitler. But I can see that he told the people, I will have work for you. I will have Medicare. I will have good education. And of course, that's why the people voted for him. That's why he joined the SS. In the beginning, SS was totally voluntary. He didn't get paid. But he was for Ordnung, that's a German word, order, do what the law says and do as you're told and have a decent life for everybody, because that's all you want. That's for everybody. Decent life for your family, for your children, health care, good education. And that's what he was. He did not join the Gestapo voluntarily. He became a policeman on the border between Austria and Germany. But then the Gestapo took over the border police, so he became Gestapo. He didn't really like that. But of course, you do as you're told. You do. And of course, the book in there is not just of my father. It's of my uncle Manfred too. He joined the Wehrmacht when he was 18. He was in Dieppe, 1942, when he was 19 years old. He was in Kursk, the big battle in Russia with the council. And he was captured by the Russians when he was in his 20s, early 20s. He escaped from the Russians from Siberia and from all sorts of prisons. So often it's absolutely fantastic, his stories. And he was even in the Lubyanka in Moscow. The stories are absolutely fantastic. And he was in the last train, 28th of December, 1949, the last train to bring German prisoners of war back to Germany. His stories are really fantastic. My Aunt Erika, the sister of my mother, when the Russians came in 1945, they were dreaded. There was nothing but rape and murder and horrible, horrible atrocities going on. She was in a truck with 4 women and 14 children, and she was one of the few that survived. by foot. They were fleeing away from the Russians to the west. She was one of the few to survive. And she eventually, funny story, in 1948, she did marry an American, Uncle Charles. So, and she visited us in Canada a few times, so I have her tapes too. And I have only, right now they're not very popular, but I have only good things to say. I survived because of the Americans. In 1955, my mom, ended up cooking for an American who was working in a factory, and he didn't like leftovers. So he said, take the leftovers and bring them home to your children. We had food to eat. My dad was prisoner of war for the Americans, and he ended up in the last years to be working in the kitchen. Isn't that a good thing? You always have something to eat. And he was very good with his hands. So as prisoner of war, in West Germany, of course, managed to build a table and chairs and some kind of a couch. And these wonderful Americans enabled him. They drove his furniture and himself in their trucks to the little hut where my mother and my sister and myself were living. It was a hut which was originally built for the Polish prisoners of war who were working, so there was nothing. We slept on straw bags and had nothing. But the Americans brought the furniture to this house. I've never forgotten that. So in 1948, he was released from Prison of America camp. So yeah.
That is amazing. I mean, okay, so your life began anew the moment that you decided you were afraid of heights, but you had to do something.
Well, it was 1965, and of course I had a life since then. I was in university in Germany, and for 5.5 years already, and when I came here, I was in medicine, and they didn't accept anything. So I ended up being a biology, chemistry high school teacher because it fits. You've got the science background.
So, okay, I have to say this. I think a lot of people have gone through certain things in history. Like Black people have gone through the slavery and the slave trade. The Jews have gone through persecution. The Germans, too, have had their times as well. And I know a lot of people have had their times. I mean, but the biggest thing I think is we're not the sum total of all of the people that are considered Germans or considered American or considered Blacks. You know what I mean? Are individuals.
I certainly, from right now, I've taken something that our good Meister Goethe, the old said, I'm a citizen of the world. And to have a Canadian passport, but other than that, I'm citizen of the world. And I know what you're talking about.
Because you can't group everybody together.
Definitely not.
Americans are bad or Germans are bad, or you can't say that, because I know people that don't even want to be involved in certain things. They're trying to run away from it because they were never in their heart going to do certain things like that. But like you said, maybe he had no choice. Maybe he was protecting the people that he lost.
And I don't understand war. I don't understand to this day. We're 2021. We're still acting like cavemen. You want something, you go to people. And I cannot understand it. And I wanted to understand why. I can understand why people become Nazis. My mother was an ardent Nazi. Like I said, you were brought up, you're the child of an SS officer, so you're above everybody else. My father wasn't like that. But my mother, and I must give her credit for that, she was one tough lady. She always said, if somebody tells you what to do and you don't agree with it, don't do it. Now, maybe she had easy talking, but I've always done what I wanted.
Yeah.
I thought is right. So.
And you're right. This world today, what is going on?
I don't understand it. But what we can do can be not. I mean, basically what, Plato, 4,000 years ago, what does he say? Who goes into politics? Greedy for power, greedy for money. I'm sorry to say, a lot of it is true. Because what most people want, what do we want? We want to have a good life, a healthy family. We don't want war, own a little bit something, have a good job, basically, and have some good times.
Yeah, definitely.
Simple, actually. And I don't understand it.
Yeah, I want food on the table. I want a roof over my head. I mean, the basic things in life. And I don't want to hurt people, and I don't want people to be hurt.
Exactly. Like when we were in Canada, we were both teachers and we both homesteaded up into northern Alberta. Mm-hmm. So I used to live for 10 years without running water and to do rock picking. I seeded 1,000 acres. So I did work. And that's what most people want. Yeah, just a decent life. Look after yourself and your children.
That's it. And I think, and a lot of people who disagree with me, you're saying that your father was a great person, was an honest person, and that he loved his family, that he was very funny. There was another side that no one's gonna know about, that we're never gonna understand. But me personally, I understand the pressure of saying, "Okay, if you don't do this, I'm gonna take away the very thing that you love." And maybe that was the one thing and the one reason that he did what he did.
I know he always said he avoided whatever he did have in the army, even he did have a motorbike. And he always said whenever he could, he volunteered to be a messenger so he didn't have to do what he was supposed.
That's what I think. I think he was protecting you.
He was
He was
like
protecting his family.
one story where this is really the saddest of all, when he was supposed to shoot 100, more than 100 Jewish children, little children, and their parents had been shot. And they were all collected in that field. And he said, my dad's company, they were all young 17, 18-year-old boys. And he said, I cannot my men do that. I cannot allow them to shoot it. It would be on their conscience forever. Let the local Ukrainian soldiers shoot them. And somebody else, I guess, agreed with that. And so his boys didn't have to shoot them. And the local Ukrainian soldiers came and they shot them. And just before this happened, and that's in the storybook too, and many people have told me about that, there was a little girl that came to him. I took his hand and I guess started talking to him. And I guess he just about broke down because he was the same age I was at the time. And he was only 29 years old at that time. Can you imagine standing there shooting 100 children? And they were all dead after. I mean, and I remember my dad, when he told us the story, he could barely speak. And that was when he was 84 years old. In tears. Yeah.
My great-grandmother, I think it was my great-grandmother. Her name was Nellie Wittefeld. She was Jewish. And when she was a little girl, she was there. She never talked about the tattoo on her arm.
Of course, seen it, yes.
But, she was saved by a castrated black slave. And there were black slaves that were trying to get kids out. And I'm only here because of that. Because if she would have died, I wouldn't be here. So
I don't understand the Jewish thing anyhow. I have a lot of Jewish friends. In fact, I was even engaged to one once. He was back home with my parents. It was nothing. I just don't understand it.
I don't get it either.
And I know that with your history, what that just.
She was very funny though. She would always tell me, because she was white, she would say, "Girl, if you don't behave yourself, I'm gonna smack the black off of you." I said, "Is that how you turn white, Grandma?" She said, "Yeah." And every time she would turn around, I would hear her snicker, like, you know what I mean? She would just laugh. She had a very good sense of humor, but she never talked about that. Never. I didn't know what that was until I got older. And then history, of course, was taught to me in school. That's how I found out. And that's how I found out about the numbers. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is absolutely crazy. I mean, he didn't want to do I don't think he wanted to do that.
I remember one day in Munich when I was studying, I was in the park and there were two old ladies having coffee and they had the tattoo on their arms too. And I know we talked and it's about ended up umarming me because I was just so shocked. I don't get it. I don't get any of that. I don't.
I appreciate that you wrote this down because people need to know that a lot of times what you see is not really what you're seeing.
Everything has
Everything has a consequence, and oh my gosh.
it's based on something else, We all have a past and our parents have a past.
Yeah. And it's just hard for me to think that your father was forced.
Yeah, he
Because
was.
he was forced because obviously he did not want to do this.
Imagine
And
he's forced, I know.
was forced, and they probably would have killed you and the entire family if he didn't do it.
And the title of my book, I'm just looking at it right now. I actually stole the title from Salman Rushdie. In one of his books, and I can't remember which one, was the term, The Duty of Remembrance. And I changed the first word so it wouldn't be called plagiarism, okay? I'm also saying, I'm a teacher and I did teach a lot of history. We must know the past. Otherwise,
It will repeat itself. It will, and they're trying to wipe that out of the schools now, which is ridiculous.
Don't get me talking about the modern school. No,
I'm glad that my grandchildren are being taught at home. They're homeschooled. My kids were homeschooled mostly all the way through school. My son was. Oh my God.
we don't teach them anymore. If it's not true, don't say it. If it's not
Yes.
right, don't do it. I mean, these are all Greek things, Darren, for heaven's sakes.
I know.
I know.
I feel for your father. I feel for you that you had to kind of endure the, oh my gosh, why? I think if you think about it, the why was you. The why was your mother. The why was your family and his very own life that he was looking at. And he really didn't have a choice.
No, I guess
Either he died and everyone died in his family because he would have come after you, or he did what he did to survive and to keep you guys alive. It was a bad choice either which way he did. Whatever he decided, there was no good choice. The good choice is that you got to live your life.
Oh my goodness, yes. And what a wonderful life I've had here in Canada. I mean, I came here in 64 and yeah, that's his homesteading and everything. It was fantastic.
And that's probably what he
We've
decided.
written 2 books about that too. We've written 2 books about that too.
Mm.
Like our memoirs. Like he has an interesting life too. So my goodness.
But that's what I'm thinking. And thank goodness that he did, because we wouldn't be speaking here today to talk about someone who probably, like I said, was forced to do. And you give people the different outlook on, not everybody was in on this. Even if they were in on it, psychologically were so damaged.
Or maybe we can learn eventually. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it very often.
You can't pull people together because not everybody's of the same mind.
And then that's perfectly fine. We're all different. But in many things, I think we can, I know I had a bed and breakfast here for many years when we were retired. And I had a lot of ministers in my bed and breakfast. And I always said to them, I'm not a Christian, but we have the 10 commandments. And one of them says, thou shalt not kill. We still do it. And I understand it. I don't understand it. We still do.
Yeah, we do. We do. And unfortunately, it's not in self-defense, which is terrible.
I agree with you on that one. Yes.
That is deep. And when you said that you went I'm happy that you didn't succeed.
Well, so am I often afterwards. I said, thank you, Gertrude Stein. I remember this after so many years, but it just engraved in me, I guess.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad that you're here talking about it because people need to know the history of this. And this was deep. Is there anything that we missed today that you would like to say?
No, I thank you for the interview. Thank you for.
Oh, that was deep. That hit me real hard, because I just imagine my grandmother, like my great-grandmother, being in that, seeing this, and she saw it.
Can you imagine?
No, I don't want to. I don't wanna know what she went through to get out of there. And not everybody that came in with her came out.
Wars, and I don't understand it. I mean, whether it's Jewish people or black people, it's all the same. I will never understand it.
Yeah,
I was something like that.
It doesn't matter where
I'm not, but we're all God's children in that way.
Exactly. Like now, look at what's going on in Gaza. Look what's going on with Russia and with the Ukraine. These innocent people are dying. People who never even wanted to have a part of this is dying. And to me, that's just the worst.
I don't understand.
The worst. That's just terrible.
I know.
It hits me hard.
I cry when I see that. I cannot understand it.
It hits me hard too. It hits me hard because I mean, I am mixed. My family were a part of the slave trade that was the sex slave trade. It's a little different. So what you're looking at when you see my hair, that's my color. What you're looking at when you see, when I tell you I'm part of almost everything going all the way up to Russia, I have a piece of every different person in me because of the sex slave trade. And then I have Native American in me too because of the sex slave trade. It was just a mess. I'm a mutt. I'm literally a mutt. There is no pure anything about me. I am a mutt. And so I have family in Gaza
Oh my goodness. Yes.
that I don't know what's going on with them. I haven't heard from them months.
Oh my goodness.
Months. But I also have family in Israel, and I also have family in Ireland, and I have family in Africa. I have family in Japan. So it's like
Oh, I know it's not fair. I mean,
it's not.
it's
It's
not.
not. It's not. I don't know what's going on. We're not that close, but they still are family. So I still want to know what's going on. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And you can't choose.
No.
You can't choose who you're related to in this world. I
You
don't
don't-
think you
so-
can.
You just, like my saying is, everything I do is by choice. And
Mhm.
sometimes shit happens, excuse my language.
It does.
How you react to it, it's your choice. And that's what you do.
You have to choose to kind of be your own person in this instance.
And I can see you definitely are. And I always
You are too.
Well,
Wow. Well, thank you, Miss Moore, for being on the show. I appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and put that book up, and it's called A Duty of Remembrance. And if you guys want to do it, we get that book, or you can check that book out. We do have the QR code, and we have the website there. It's GUDRUNMOORE.com. We're going to put that link in the description box as well, wherever you may be watching. So it's easy for you guys to go ahead and go get it. You can also get that book on Amazon and a lot of different places. Am I correct, Miss Moore?
it's correct.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Miss Moore, for being on the show. I appreciate it. I'm so happy that you're here to share a story of someone who, if given the opportunity, probably would have taken you and his entire family and got the heck out of Dodge, but couldn't do it.
I'll thank you for your interview.
Anytime. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different, and remember not to label people. Not everybody that's in something wants to be in it. Some people just don't have a choice. They don't have a method of getting out, and they don't know what to do except to go with it. And it's just something that happens. All right, guys. Until next time. Thank you, Miss Moore, again. Bye,
Thank
guys. Thank you for watching.